Ready? Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for Tuesday, October 17th. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill? Ms. Gross? Mr. Kraus? Here. Mr. Lavelle?
Here.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Here.
Mrs. Warwick?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
You have a
Mrs. Cale
moment of
Smith, President?
silence. Here.
5 members present.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Councilwoman Strasburger.
I'd like to have our moment of silence honor John Jack Flaherty, who a longtime Shady Sider who passed away at the ripe age of 97 last week.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And we'll do that after our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Thank you. Our next order of business is to amend the agenda. Is there a motion to amend the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is amended. The next order of business is proclamations, and we have one to be presented by Councilman Kraus. Councilman Kraus? Oh, Councilwoman Strasburger is going to present, but Councilman Kraus is online. Councilwoman.
All right, would everyone here for American Advertising Federation please join me up here? And I know we have Councilman Kraus, who is technically presenting this proclamation and whose staff, whose office worked diligently to make sure that we had a proclamation to honor you today. So feel free to join right up here next to me, to my left. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Whereas the American Advertising Federation of Pittsburgh, AAF Pittsburgh, is celebrating their 100th anniversary with year-long festivities that started on April 14, 2023. And whereas on April 24th and 25th, 1928, AAF Pittsburgh hosted the first annual exhibit of the Pittsburgh Advertising Club held in the Chamber of Commerce Auditorium. Whereas in November 1997, AAF Pittsburgh hosted its first media auction to raise funds for the American Advertising Federation Pittsburgh Scholarship. And whereas since its inception in 1999, the scholarship administered by the Pittsburgh Foundation has awarded over $128,000 to Western Pennsylvania college students pursuing an education in communications, marketing, or advertising. And whereas in 2007, AAF Pittsburgh inducted the first class of inductees into the Pittsburgh Advertising Hall of Fame. And whereas AAF Pittsburgh launched The Pitch, an annual student competition in 2010, which is a one-day real-world advertising competition which places student teams at Western Pennsylvania advertising agencies and offers the hands-on opportunity to pitch a marketing plan to a real nonprofit organization. And whereas Add2 Pittsburgh is a membership organization which provides networking and mentorship opportunities for young communications, marketing, and advertising professionals under the age of 32, and on July 1st, 2013, was created as an affiliate of AAF Pittsburgh. And whereas in honor of the 100th anniversary, AAF Pittsburgh will host the inaugural Pittsburgh Advertising Week, PGH Ad Week, October 19th through 20th, 2023, at the Pittsburgh Playhouse at Point Park University, which is a 2-day conference and will include 33 speakers across several brands, agencies, and backgrounds. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh commends the American Advertising Federation of Pittsburgh for providing numerous professional opportunities for young professionals, for providing critical scholarships for students, and for supporting nonprofits in our region. Be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Pittsburgh does hereby declare October 16th, 2023 through October 22nd, 2023 to be Pittsburgh Advertising Week in the City of Pittsburgh.
Can I have a motion to approve in a second?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proclamation's approved. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Who would like to come up and say a few words? Anyone? Congratulations. We have several for you, so please, come right up here. Introduce yourself.
Hello, Dwayne Wade Jr. here, Chapter Vice President of the AAF Pittsburgh chapter and the co-chair for Pittsburgh Advertising Week. We are so thrilled for Pittsburgh Advertising Week to be able to celebrate the history of creativity and innovation around our region. Having 33 speakers, 20 different topics, all celebrating how things have started in Pittsburgh and how it continues. And so we are really thankful for the city of Pittsburgh for this, and with our chapter president, Maureen Rooney, for her leadership in getting all of this done. So thank you all so much.
Here we have several of these if people would like to hold them up. We can get a photo.
So 3, 1, 2, 3, one more, 1, 2, 3, and one more, 1, 2, 3. Got it. Right here.
Do you want to see if Councilman Kraus, and if you want to say something? Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Put one on display.
And we have no further proclamations, and no proclamations be read into the record. And we'll now move on to our next order of business, which is public comment. And we have our first registered speaker is Naomi Mullen. Naomi?
Here, shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. First, do no harm is not just a rule of medicine. Government shall not harm the people or can be held accountable. Blockbusting and infliction of emotional distress has occurred against Bon Air. Who oppose the owners of Bon Air do so at their own peril. Politicians and municipal employees are public servants. My husband was a dedicated model employee. The Pennsylvania state constitution says that government was created for the peace, safety, and happiness of we, the people. Decisions and actions that harm the people are not acceptable. There are elected and appointed officials that have proven themselves to be enemies of Bon Air. That is not advisable. The school board has proven itself as detrimental. Will you be part of the solution? WHO is the World Health Organization that is funded primarily from commercial income sources. The Gates Foundation invests in immunization and profits greatly from that. The CDC is funded by the Gates Foundation and Bloomberg Foundation. The FDA is funded greatly by Big Pharma. The Gates Foundation collaborates with the FDA as well. How can there not be a conflict of interest? Regardless of the Bill Gates involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, screw the WHO, stopthewho.com. Once upon a time, there was a neighborhood named Bon Oliver, which decided to change their legal designation to a county. They elected their own representative who did the will of their constituents. They understood they were public servants, not rulers of the people. They decided to pay only for cyber school and withdraw from using the Pittsburgh Public Schools as a provider of education for their children. They contracted their own services so they could be free of public tyrants and exorbitant taxes. Imagine that. No detrimental to the peace, safety, and happiness of we, the people. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. Thank you.
Our next registered speaker is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller. Dr. Miller?
Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller, Belsuver, also Oxford, England, United Kingdom. I'm a Global Intelligence Society U.S. candidate for President 2024. My primary U.S. teletext is 412-969-7997. It can be reached 24/7. Council is concerned for individuals from all nations who are living in the city of Pittsburgh, and I appreciate that very much. We need, in our city and our country, to give our attention to them while Israel and Palestine commit themselves to what I consider to be mutual genocide. From the region of Africa, or the Africas, to Liberia and the capital Monrovia, which is a United States Brosis country founded by liberated U.S. American slaves. And to Liberian Americans who are living in the city of Pittsburgh, I and the GIS offer our support. Kudos to Liberia on your recent peaceful election for president with more than 100 candidates, something we need. Nigeria, world-class musician Tiwa Savage. She does most of her work in English and Yoruba. Somebody's Son Gonna Love Me One Day, and Malo. From the region of the Americas to Bolivia, capital La Paz, U.S. Brosis, liberator country George Washington and Simón de Bolivar, and Bolivian American Pittsburghers. Our GIS hand is over to you. Bolivia, yes, on your use of paper balloted presidential election. And C, I think, on bricks as well. Cuba, world-class musician Gloria Estavan from there. Espanol is her language with English. No te olvidaré. Anything for you, but listen to it in Spanish because it is really different in Spanish. I have two others that I'm going to focus on, but that will come on another day.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Now, our next registered speaker is Chad Ringblom.
Good morning. My name is Chad Ringblom. I live in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. I last spoke before City Council on September 26th regarding council having passed sanctuary city status for, quote, gender-affirming care. While I urge you to expeditiously repeal those ordinances, along with the ordinances passed last year making Pittsburgh a sanctuary city for abortion, that's not the primary reason I'm here this week. During my comments on September 26th, I distinctly remember Councilwoman Erica Strasburger shaking her head in derision as I used hard language to accurately describe exactly what it is that you were allowing with those ordinances. I really want to address this because it became apparent that the motive is not clear behind why I, along with a few of my brothers, have been speaking. We don't come to bash you as political enemies or to virtue signal. We're down here out of a desire to glorify God. We're here with the goal to seek justice for those who can't speak for themselves, to protect the confused and innocent from being preyed upon by people looking to make money, giving them life-altering procedures and treatments. And believe it or not, we're here out of love and concern for you. Behind all that we do is love, both love for God and love for neighbor. Now, love is a term that gets thrown around a lot. It always has. Today, the culture would have you believe that you hate someone when you disagree with them, or that true love is affirming something in them, no matter how foolish, as long as you think that it makes them happy. 1 Corinthians 13:6 says regarding love, it doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. The truth is that all of you will stand before your Creator one day, and you'll have to give an account for every thought, word, and deed, including what you did with the authority you've been given through your position in city government. And every other human, with the exception of the man Jesus Christ, who was also God, will be found wanting. You may well be representing your constituents. What you're not doing, however, is serving them through the positions of leadership with which you've been entrusted. Two of the purposes of law are to restrain evil and to teach. When laws are just, they punish evil and reward good behavior. They also teach people right from wrong. The same can be said of ordinances. We come out of love and concern for you as fellow image bearers of God. We would like to get to know all of you, to let you know that we pray for you and that we're willing to pray for you. Reverend, in August you indicated that you'd sit down with us to talk about the book. I know for sure that we'd love to do that, and we've reached out to you in several emails with no reply. My hope is that your willingness to meet is genuine. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next registered speaker is Luke Griffo.
Good morning. I'm Luke Griffo, an elder at Redeemer Church of South Hills in Pittsburgh. Jesus once said to a crowd, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Later, to that same crowd, he said, "You are of your father the devil. He is a liar and the father of lies, and because I tell the truth, you do not believe me." And later in his life, standing before the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, Jesus said, "Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." To which Pilate responded mockingly, "What is truth?" What is truth has become the question of our culture. And the reality is that truth is the foundation on which every human life must be built, and the foundation on which cultures and civilizations must be built. And this is because the world was created by a God who is himself the truth and was created with objective reality and parameters of reality. And we ignore this reality and seek to live by lies at our own peril. Yet, our culture has thrown in its lot with Pilate as we mock the idea of objective truth that can be known and is universal. We proclaim that a man can decide his own gender and can defy his own biological sex. And this council, which has been given legitimate authority by Almighty God to be exercised under the headship of Jesus Christ, this council has made our city a sanctuary for what is called gender-affirming care. This is done out of a profession of love and acceptance, but as my brother Chad just said, love does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Truth is the foundation of love, it's the context for love, and truth supplies content for love. It is impossible to love somebody outside of the truth, and that is because lying to someone is not loving someone. If this council truly seeks the good of the citizens of Pittsburgh, and especially desires the good of those who are suffering under the genuine identity crisis of transgenderism, then you will stop legislating and decreeing in accord with lies, and you will start acting in accord with reality. And that begins by repenting of the wicked statutes that you have passed in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Thank you. The next registered speaker is Poma Chakma Yahalihi. Chief Poma Chakma.
Thank you so much. In the Kakalakaim, everyone, the light in me honors the light in you. I stand with the people who speak the truth, and I stand with the people who live in the truth. And the truth of our people, the Aborigines of America, as I'm the chief of medicine in the Iroquois Confederacy of Aborigine American People, and the chief of my direct bloodline and lineage, along with my mother. Colonization has been the genocide of our people by the colonizers' use of eugenics and forced assimilation, created specifically for our people's demise, reclassifying our people beginning prior to the 15th century, in many forms by stealing our artifacts, renaming them, and transporting them across the planet, giving false narratives to them, and later through literature and playwriting and books and film and music and sports, ultimately to erase our time immemorial identity as the Aborigines of the Americas, to the Negro, the Terra, and later to Indian. And in 1924, the discredited Repealed Racial Integrity Act, created by Walter Ashby Plecker, was and still is used as a tool of genocide, along with the fraudulent document called a birth certificate for our people who are not to be enumerated or enlisted on rolls. And that was to reclassify our identity as Indians and Indians not taxed in the Constitution to colored and Negro and Black and African American and other terms, and all fraudulent census records and birth certificates and things of that nature to continually unlawfully classify the Aborigine Americans to these fictional identities such as colored, Negro, Black, and African American. And we're not to be taxed and to ignore or to continue to ignore our presence and violate our rights, making decisions about our people and our lands and our resources against our knowledge and pre and prior informed consent is also forced assimilation and genocide. So we're asking to come to the table and let the people see this legislation. Let's talk about this legislation because it is to protect our rights. We're not asking for anything that is outside of your authority and your ability to do. We're asking that you pass this legislation to protect our rights because this is what our genocide looks like. In Lakek Alakain, the light in me honors the light in you.
Thank you. And our next registered speaker is Ajajaib Chanal Kuin, and I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. I'll spell it. Are they on? No, they're not on. Okay. And our next registered speaker is Chief Ikahana. Ikahana Helmakina, is she on?
Greetings and good day. My title is Chief Ikahana Halmakina. I am the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People, and I am happy to be the voice of the people. The Indian Scalp Act. In April of 1756, Pennsylvania's Lieutenant Governor, Robert Morris, I bet that name sounds familiar, enacted the Scalp Act in this territory. Government sanctioned murder and torture. These barbaric acts are documented history, and my source is Penn State University. In the National Archives, it's also noted that the Homestead Act of 1862 helped accelerate the settlement/takeover of indigenous land and territory by granting/giving away acres of our land for minuscule fees. They also had to do this by occupying and improving and cultivating the property. And this too should sound familiar because it happens still today. It's a practice still remaining in place today, especially when prime real estate can be sold to millionaires for just $1. Again, this practice continues today. With the newly formatted land banks popping up all over this country, nothing continuation of the doctrine of discovery from 1493, most notably used on the backs of Christopher Columbus, who did not discover America. Instead, he took over indigenous land and claimed it as his own. Also supported by the Racial Integrity Act, driven by Walter Ashby Plecker. We are here today, and these egregious acts still continue. We are here to remind you of the tyranny that we face and still face today with very similar policies and ill-conceived notions. Suppression of our identity. We are here to petition City Council for redress and restitution to acknowledge all of the nefarious conceived policies by the government to exercise I look forward to working with Councilman Barbara Warwick to find the best path forward to ensure that we are safe, to also make sure that we are not misnomers. Our people are the only people who have been erroneously labeled with several different titles, connotative labels: Negro, mulatto, colored, Black, Afro-American, African-American, and most recently, a setback.
That exhausts our list of registered speakers. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address City Council? Please come to approach the podium one at a time.
Good morning. My name is Joe Griffo, and I am pastor of Redeemer Church of South Hills in West Mifflin. And I'm here this morning to speak to the ordinance designating Pittsburgh a sanctuary city for the reprehensible yet widely accepted destruction of human life in the womb through abortion. And we are both saddened as we come here before council, saddened and frustrated, and I know that comes through. Mr. Burgess, I'm saddened and frustrated as a self-described man of the book. You know full well what the scriptures teach, what the scriptures declare regarding the sanctity and dignity of life, as well as the prohibitions against the willful and wanton taking of it. I know you're familiar with Psalm 139. For you have formed my inward parts. You have knitted me together in my mother's womb. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that you know Exodus 21, 22, and following, and the many other passages of Scripture that speak to the sanctity and preciousness of life, not the least of which is the sixth commandment, thou shalt not murder. This, coupled with your duty and solemn obligation to protect, to preserve, and to promote life, demonstrates a clear inconsistency between your holy calling as a minister, as well as serving as a civil magistrate, and in this instance, your actual practice. I know you didn't participate in the vote, but that does not absolve you from your responsibility, sir, or lessen the degree of culpability before a living, holy, and righteous God. For council, the rest of council, I am saddened and frustrated with the rest of council who actually voted for this misguided ordinance. I know perhaps you may view us, those who are simply holding to a strict religious ideology, to be written off, perhaps. And yet, it is in this ideology is borne out in science, biology, physiology, embryology, as well as the latest advancements in technology. That leaves no doubt whatsoever that a human person, whole, distinct, living, occupies the mother's womb. I implore you to simply consider the facts, to contemplate the reality of what's going on. Talk to the experts, including ex-abortionists. Seek the truth and act with boldness and courage to perform your duty, which is to protect, to preserve, and to promote life, irrespective of extenuating circumstances, the difficulties of a particular situation. Whatever the rationale, the reasoning, or the motivation does not change the fact, the truth, and the reality of that which resides in the womb is a whole, distinct, living, deserving of dignity, protection, and the right to life human being. My plea to you, to all of you, is that you sincerely reconsider this ordinance, truly repent in your hearts, then actually repeal it. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Please approach the podium. Good morning.
I did sign the list. I'm Devin McLean from the Hill District, lived here the majority of my life, and in Soviet Union, we have saying, fish rots from head. And then we found out that the commander of the Zone 2 police station is doing sinister stuff, and that now you're doing an investigation of him. I could have told you that. And it is light as truth. Guys, be glad you're not black with a single mother, okay? Because then your masculinity would have been
Please address City Council. Please address City Council. You're here to speak to Council. You have to turn this way.
Yes, I'm here to speak to city
Thank you.
council. And y'all didn't give him much eye contact. In fact, when it comes to truth and biology, it would be pretty good if the black population can get in touch with the conservative white Christian population, because there are a bunch of things we can agree about without having to vote Republican. But being black in the city, you're wondering what your choices are, right? Because with this new DA you're going to elect, with the old one, is he still going to be with this charge stacking that the police in Pittsburgh do for black men? And then if we actually elect the liberal one, Mr. Dugan, is he going to ignore every time a drug-addicted woman steals from someone? If it's less than $500, they ain't going to do nothing. They ain't going to prosecute. So why should I call the police when this woman steals off me? Because you can't use violence against them, because the truth of biology dictates that you shouldn't do that on a woman. It's too dangerous. So what recourse do I have? What recourse do I have? I'd like for counsel to address me. So, you guys gonna want some help with the investigation on number 2 police station? I can help you. I can help you point out some of the bad apples, some of the people who operate in bad faith whenever a black man calls the police. No response. You know, in college, I was a communications major. I wanted to be an advertiser, right? I didn't graduate, but I still took, a lot of time to train myself to use the right words in the right tone and in the right time to touch a person's heart so that you can.
Thank you. Your time's expired. Next speaker, please. Are there any further? Good morning, Ms. Brown.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. That's in Cayley, where Irvis Towers. Citizens, anyone that can hear my voice, and even if you can't see me, I have a sign that says, Red Alert, Carl Redwood, we welcome you, we need you. Carl Redwood is running for our county councilman. Carl's father was an activist and fought for us. There's a lot of citizens in Cayley or Irvis that wants Carl to come to the building, the same as DeWitt Watson did when we didn't know about it. We want Carl, and I'm asking Carl to please call the manager and ask that you be able to schedule a time, because the old people, and I'm one of the old people, are asking that you come and tell us what you're about. Mr. Cardhill, you know when you came, didn't the old people vote for you? If you come to us and talk to us, we want to know what you're talking about. Now, also, I wanted to say, and I have to say this, that I talk about Katie Irvis in our family. We've had quite a few deaths. There was Virginia Montgomery, Hazel, and I'm sorry I didn't get her last name, but she's Mitzi's mother, the woman that used to work in our lunchroom. We also have Evelyn Washington died, Ida Mae Halt, and this lady right here is the mother of Bunky, who is a city employee that worked with the housing authority for years. A lot of people knew him and his mother. She was 102 in the building that we lived. Okay, we also had Concha, C-O-N-C-A, Mendoza, and we called her Pepper. My husband grew up with her, and she passed. At her funeral, I wanted to say something, that she would have been proud of her son. You had one of her sons, as the people were coming in, he was introducing them to all of the family members, and you ought to see the hugging of each other that they didn't know each other. See, that a lot of times you need to understand, and you, Mr. Carhill, I don't think you're a bad person, but when you said about you want to honor Columbus Day, do you realize Columbus enslaved the Indians? He killed a lot of them. He even sent them down south to work, but the Indians could not stand that heat. And that's the reason why they're not still enslaved. And then they could run away and go back to where they came from. An African couldn't. Do you understand that you need to read history? I'm not just talking. I studied Native American history. You need to read it to see what the white people with the forked tongues did to the Native Americans. Not just take up for Columbus.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Are there any further speakers wishing to address City Council? Seeing no further speakers, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is the presentation of papers, and we'll begin with Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, who is the Chair of Parks and Recreation. I'm sorry, he's the Chair of Human Resources. I forgot. He changed.
He's not on.
He's not on. Councilman Coghill for
No
Councilman
new
Burgess.
papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Coghill. Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill Number 2059, Resolution authorizing the Mayor and the Director of Public Safety to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration for the purposes of receiving and spending grant funds in the amount of $1 million to support the Office of Community Health and Safety's efforts to develop and pilot a post-overdose support team post to respond to overdoses with teams of certified peer recovery specialists and case managers.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gross presents Bill Number 2050, Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 6440 Frankstown Avenue at no cost to the city. Bill 2051, Resolution authorizing the Mayor and the Director of Public Works and the Director of Finance on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into a permanent easement with the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for the installation, maintenance, repair, operation, and removal of a sewer line on city-owned property, parcel 82H0000102, at no cost to the city. And Bill Number 2061, Resolution requesting the approval of an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license from the Will Bar, Inc., located at 3058 Washington Pike, Bridgeville, PA, to the applicant, Games and Axes, LLC, located at 2010 Josephine Street, pursuant to amended Pennsylvania Liquor Code.
Thank you. And our next papers are Councilman Kraus, Chair of Public Works and Infrastructure. Is he on?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Kraus presents Bill Number 2052, Resolution granting a vacation of an unused, unopened portion of Lacey Way in the 14th Ward, 9th Council District of the City of Pittsburgh. And Bill Number 2053, Resolution granting unto Duquesne University of the Holy Spirit, their successors and assigns, the privilege and license to construct, maintain, and use at their own cost and expense 7 bioretention tree pits and a retaining wall at 1305 Forbes Avenue, 1st Ward, 6th Council District of the city.
Thank you. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill Number 2054, Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Chartiers Valley District Flood Control Authority in an amount not to exceed $117,204 over 1 year, relating to full and final settlement of a case filed in the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas. Bill 2055, Resolution providing for the encumbrance of funds in the amount of $588,000 $514.92 to secure a stay during the city's appeal of Fraternal Order of Police Grievance Award. Bill 2056, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of finance on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to acquire all rights, title, and interest to the property located on Coyne Terrace in the 15th Ward and identified as Block 54R, Lot 92 in the Deed Registry Office of Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, and known as the Coyne Terrace Stairs for the sum of $6,900, plus all necessary and incidental expenses in connection with such acquisition. And Bill 2057, ordinance amending and supplementing Section 197.09 of the City Code under Article 11 of Title I, Administrative, by creating a process to recruit new members, increasing the relevancy of qualification standards, and improving other internal administrative affairs of the Ethics Hearing Board.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilwoman Warwick, Chair of Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology. Councilwoman, is she online? Yes. Councilwoman Warwick?
Yes, I believe there's new papers, but if someone could hand them.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Wilson.
Councilwoman Warwick presents Bill number 2058, resolution amending Resolution 177 of 2022, which authorized the mayor and the city solicitor to enter into an agreement or agreements with SciComm Data Systems, Inc. for professional services relating to continuing maintenance, support, and upgrades to city law, the Department of Law's current legal case management and administrative support software system, by increasing the amount by $11,376 for a total not to exceed amount of $22,752 over 2 years.
Thank you. And Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And myself, Chair of Hearings and Policies. I actually had a paper for final action, but request of a member or two that I'm going to hold until next week. So they have a chance. They have additional questions they'd like to ask. So we'll move on to our next order of business, which is reports of committee for final action. And we'll start with Councilman.
Skipping unfinished business? Yeah, the unfinished business.
This one, I'm not going to introduce this. I'm not going to do it.
That's for the interview that was held.
I know what
So
it
you're
is.
not voting on it.
No, we're not going to vote on it today. There's members that want to ask additional questions that they, after they did some research. So I'm going to hold it just for a week until they have a chance to do their research, unless they need further time after that. And so we'll now move on to our next order of business, which is reports of committee for final action. Councilman Lavelle, Committee on Finance and Law.
Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill number 2045, reported to Committee on Finance and Law for October 11, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1937, resolution amending 164 of 2023, which authorized the mayor and the city solicitor on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into a professional services agreement with Loeb & Loeb LLP for legal services related to real estate matters by increasing the total spend by $250,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $400,000 over 1 year. Bill number 1997, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in an amount not to exceed $4,450 over 1 year in favor of Anson Burr in full and final settlement of a claim for damage to a parked vehicle near 234 South Millville Avenue from a failed city right-of-way tree. Bill number 2003, resolution further amending resolution number 855 of 2011, effective December 29, 2011, as amended, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2011 Capital Budget and the 2011 Community Development Block Grant Program and the 2011 through 2016 Capital Improvement Program by reducing city clerk's neighborhood needs by $90,859, $1,000,000.95 and increasing city clerk's office modernization by $90,859.95.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Loeb and Loeb contract. I did ask the solicitor if I could talk to them this morning before the vote today, and I did. And one of the things I was concerned about was there was a no bid contract for this. But after talking to the solicitor, she assured me that the law department has. It's her understanding the law department has typically not issued RFPs for professional services, this kind of stuff, that when they need somebody with a certain expertise. So. And then there was a couple other questions I had. I wanted to know if they were going to increase the request for dollars, and there was no guarantee of that either. So I'll probably vote no on that just because I just feel uncomfortable, but I know that other members feel way more comfortable than I do. So that said, is there any more discussion on the bills? Any further discussion? The bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye on all bills except for no on Bill 1937.
On 1997 and 2003, 8 ayes, and on Bill 1937, 7 ayes, 1 no.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilman Anthony Coghill, Committee on Public Safety and Wellness.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Coghill presents Bill Number 2046, reported to Committee on Public Safety and Wellness for October 11, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1988, resolution authorizing the mayor and the Director of Public Safety to enter into an agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for the purpose of receiving and spending grant funds in an amount of $17,598,124 for the purchase of radios.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
8 ayes.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes is finally passed. And that moves us on to next committee, which is Councilman Kraus, Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure. Councilman Kraus?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Kraus presents Bill Number 2047, reported to Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure for October 11, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1994, resolution granting unto Sports and Exhibition Authority of Pittsburgh, their successors and assigns, the privilege and license to construct, maintain, and use at their own cost and expense 2 electrical vaults, a bioretention tree wall, and a planting area at 680 Logan Street, 3rd Ward, 6th Council District. Bill 1995, resolution granting unto Office Partners 23 Block G1 LLC, their successors and assigns, the privilege and license to construct, maintain, and use at their own cost and expense a bioretention tree pit and a planting area at 626 Washington Place, 3rd Ward, 6th Council District. Bill 1996, a resolution authorizing acceptance by the City of Pittsburgh of the dedication of a portion of 5000 Forbes Avenue, 53B50, in the 14th Ward, 8th Council District at no cost to the city. And Bill Number 2017, Resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of Peoples Natural Gas Company in the amount of $24,947.02 in payment for non-contracted work on the Homewood Park reconstruction project.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Is there any discussion on the bills? Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when their name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Next one.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. The bills having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to Councilwoman Erica Strasburger, Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Madam President.
Councilperson Strasburger presents Bill number 2048, reported to Committee on Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services for October 11, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1980, resolution repealing Resolution number 428 of 2023, effective July 9, 2023, entitled Resolution Authorizing the Mayor and the Director of the Department of Parks and Recreation on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into a professional services agreement with Homewood Community Sports for community liaison services at an amount not to exceed $300,000 by repealing it in its entirety.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to recommit, Councilwoman?
Motion to recommit.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm just going to say we're going to hold this bill next week, likely, and we're going to have an executive session regarding some contractual and legal concerns. I'll call for that at the end of the meeting. All in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Clerk, do you have to have a roll call on this one? Yeah, okay, roll call. Sorry, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Cale Smith, President?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. The bill, having received the legally required number of votes, is finally recommitted. Thank you. Will be recommitted, sorry. And I just want to say, I'll talk about that at the end of the meeting. And Councilwoman Deborah Gross, Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs.
Madam President.
It sounds like you better get busy on the educational one, huh?
Sounds like it.
A lot of stuff going on there. Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Gross presents Bill number 2049, reported to Committee on Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs for October 11, 2023, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill 1989, resolution amending Resolution 413 of 2020, which authorized the mayor and the director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into a cooperation agreement or agreements relating to the shared operation and administration of the City of Pittsburgh Child Care Quality Fund by extending the term through 2024 at no further cost to the city. Bill 1990, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 5321 Holmes Street, 10th Ward, at no cost to the city. And Bill 1991, resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission in the not-to-exceed amount of $48,400.50 for the second installment of 2023 Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission dues.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bills. Was there any discussion on the bills? Councilwoman? No. Seeing none, the bills are now ready for final action. All in favor of the passage, vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess? Mr. Coghill?
Aye.
Ms. Gross?
Aye.
Mr. Kraus?
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle?
Aye.
Mrs. Strasburger?
Aye.
Mrs. Warwick?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith, President?
Aye.
8 ayes.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes are finally passed. And that moves us on to motions and resolutions, and I have a few meeting announcements. Today at 1:30, Council will host a cablecast public hearing as it relates to Bill 2023-1976, the intermunicipal liquor license transfer for El Paso Mexican Grill Bethel Parking LLC. And on Wednesday, October 18th, Council's Standing Committees meeting will start at 10 a.m. here in Chambers. To register to speak at this meeting, please fill out the sign-up form on the Council's meeting webpage or call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Speaker registration will close at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And on Thursday, October 19th, Council will hold a briefing as it pertains to the Bill 2023-1979 Smart Loading Zones Program and the upcoming changes with the first session at 11 a.m. and the second session at 11:30 a.m. Is there anything from members? Anything from members? I'd like to call, could you call for an executive session for legalities and procurement? I don't know what else to ask for the executive session on.
Motion for an executive session on legalities and procurement.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And I'll second, Madam President.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we'll get that scheduled as soon as possible. Thank you both. And with that said, is there anything else from members? Okay, I was going to address this concern about the recommittal. And I just want to say thank you to Councilman Lavelle for trying to work through this concern. There's one thing I've known about Councilman Lavelle. He's a strong advocate for the community and the district that he represents. And yesterday, he and I had some conversations and some meetings, and I just want to thank him. His leadership has been tremendous on this and many other issues, especially many issues affecting the Black community in the city of Pittsburgh. So I want to thank you, Councilman Lavelle, for working through this and for all that you bring to the table. Thank you. Can I have a motion to excuse the absent members and approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting?
So moved, Madam President.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.